This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Hey guys, Paul here today with a contest prep update. I'm 10 weeks out now. First week, 6 weeks down, done, over with. It's been easy so far. I don't want to jinx myself. Way leaner than I was last year. Things are rolling along. I've been very busy with the YouTube channel, so I think that's keeping me distracted. So I feel like things are moving along pretty well. So let's take a look here. Let's see what I got going on. So this week my weight dropped down to 250. That's my fasted weight. My walking around daytime weight is probably something like 255. I haven't checked it in a while, but that's just what I'm guessing. 255. I started off like at 266, 267 6 weeks ago. So I've dropped about 16, 17 pounds, 17, 8. Well, no, actually I was 270. I take that back. I was 270 when I started. So I've dropped almost 20 pounds. So we're looking at, we're looking at a total of about 3.5 pounds per week, which is right on point. I think that's where I want to be. If I keep trending that way with 10 more weeks to go, that would put me down around 220. Somewhere in that ballpark. Of course, the last week or so you're going to fill out. So, I'm thinking somewhere between 215, 225 stage weight. Just guessing. But who knows? I always seem to never have the stage weight right. I always end up weighing less than what I think I'm going to. So 250 at the last check-in. My blood pressure is 123/79, although it's been reading high at random times this week. I did switch to the telmisartan from the amlodipine, and I'm only taking 40 milligrams right now. I may push that up to 80. It was fine today. I measured it earlier. It was up, and then it was down. I don't know why it's all over the place. Might be the stimulants. I might be drinking too much fucking coffee. I don't know. Been burning the candle at both ends. Also, haven't been sleeping that great. It does seem to go up when I don't sleep well. Fasted glucose has been fine. Health, I had a little bit of a cold over the weekend, but I just worked through it. So health has been okay. Progress pics here. Let's take a look. So I have the comparisons from 16 weeks out to today. I have tightened up a bit. You can see my midsection has tightened up. Definitely lost some body hair. Legs have tightened up a bit too. Starting to see some separation in my legs. My legs are always like the first place I get lean. I don't really carry that much body fat on my legs, even when I am fat. So I think this picture I was around 270. Right now, 250. So you can see the difference in what it makes. I don't feel like I really lost much size. My arms are a tad bit smaller than what they were. I definitely noticed my sleeves aren't as tight, but it's probably just water weight, glycogen, whatever. Side pics, definitely my waist has tightened up a bit. You can start to see my serratus a bit. A little bit of separation from my quads to my hamstrings. Chest is tightened up a tad. I still have my double chin. I always have a fucking double chin. It's my curse. Let's see the back here. This is where I carry the most body fat, is from behind. And it's also usually the last place I lose it. But you can see a little bit. You can see a little more definition in my upper back. You can see also my arms. I don't carry much fat in my arms. Same thing with my legs. It's like my extremities. My fat is all in my core. I carry all my fat in my core, and I think that's pretty typical for a lot of dudes. You can see my hamstrings a little bit now. I had somebody tell me, ask me, how I kept my skin so good, not saggy as old as I am, which I don't know if it's good or not, but I feel like I have saggy old man ass. You can see my crinkles on my ass here. I definitely got old man ass. But hey, I guess compared to other 48-year-olds, I'm not too bad. Food this week. Justin actually pushed my food up a bit. He is worried about my metabolism racing away, which it has in the past. I definitely have been sweating a lot at night. I have not been sleeping as well, so I can definitely feel my metabolism spinning up. And I'm just doing the over-the-counter fat burners right now. I'm not doing any trend. Clint will start this coming week, so we'll talk about that in a second. But he added a few more calories back into my diet, and Justin always makes small adjustments. They aren't big adjustments. So you can see here he added on my medium days. He added 25 grams to my post-workout of carbs. So just a small adjustment. And if you're not weighing and measuring everything down to the exact ounce, which most people do not do, you can't account for it with that much accuracy. You have to weigh and measure every single grain of food you put in your mouth if you want optimum results. If you don't want optimum results, do you? We also added calories, additional carbs to my high day. You can see over here, it is another small adjustment. We went from 125 grams of carbs per meal up to 135. Pre and post are still 150. And then I have the cheat meal as well that day. So it's a pretty healthy day that day. I'm probably somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 calories that day. That's one day a week with the high day. It's leg day. For me, I do it on my first rotation through my leg day, which is Tuesdays for me. So actually, if you go, let's slide back here on the weight and then take a look real quick. You can see here, this is my 4-week weight chart. This is not from the start of the contest prep, but you can see the high days in here. High day, high day, high day, high day, high day. You can see where they are in there. You get the bouncing weight after the high day, or the bouncing weight after the high day. One day later, I usually come back down to even, and then I start rocketing down again for the next couple days, and then it kind of slows down. Then you hit a high day again, rockets down again, slows down a bit. Then I hit another high day. So the high day seems to ignite your metabolism. All right, so moving on from the nutrition. Before I move on, please take a second to like and subscribe my video if you're finding this helpful. Really appreciate it. All right, so current cycle, what I'm doing right now, I'm holding at 750 milligrams of test. I am holding at 600 milligrams of primobolan. Remember, we worked our way up to that. I dropped the NPP this week and added in 150 milligrams of Masteron. Still doing a 0.5 milligram of Arimidex every other day. I think I am going to start pushing that up. I have a little bit of gyno on my right pec. I'm going to add in some tamoxifen and maybe push that up to 0.5 milligram every day and try to dry that up. I usually can get it's not very big. I don't know, but in marble size, and there's a little bit of fat around it that you can see in my pictures. It bothers me. Most people probably can't even notice it, but I can usually get that dried up by the time I'm done with my cut. But I have to use tamoxifen and usually some sort of aromatase inhibitor to get that dried up at the end of the prep. And then it comes back in the off season as I gain body fat and my estrogen levels increase. So anyway, the Masteron might help with that a little bit anyway, but I'm doing 150 Masteron this week. That's going to go up to 300 next week. 6 units of GH every day. That hasn't changed. People keep asking me if I split the GH up. My answer is you probably should. And I do sometimes. I just forget to take it in the morning. I like mornings are hectic for me. I got to get my kids off to school. I've got, usually work is bombarding me. I'm answering a ton of emails. Mornings are just kind of hectic sometimes, and I often forget to do it, and I'm just taking all 6 units before bed. But ideally, I should be taking 3 units in the morning, 3 in the evening. You want to do your GH in the morning for fat burning, GH at night for hypertrophy. Also helps with sleep a little bit as well, which sucks on contest prep. 1,000 milligrams of metformin every day, 1,000 milligrams of berberine every day. I think I may cut the metformin back down to 500 milligrams, bump the berberine up to 1,500. I'm thinking about it. We talked about the 40 milligrams of telmisartan. I think I may bump that up to 80. I'll see. Humalog on the high days is needed. Fat burners right now are 25 milligrams of ephedrine 2 times per day. 1 go pill from First Detachment Nutrition 2 times per day. And I am adding, I haven't done that yet. Tomorrow I will be adding, this is really next week, but I'm going to be adding 20 micrograms of Clen every 5 days until I reach 100 micrograms. So over the next 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm sorry, we'll eke up to 100 micrograms, which will probably put me at about 7 to 6 weeks out, so and then we'll run that all the way through up to the show. I did reduce the Lantus. I have noticed my blood glucose is fine, and I kind of want to get myself more into a fat burning state. Insulin does interfere with fat burning, which I haven't had any problems with, but I just don't think it's necessary on my low days. My low days are so low carb. I mean, I barely have any carbs at all right now, less than 100 grams or right around 100 grams. So I am not going to take Lantus the night before my high day or low day, sorry. And I am not going to take it the night of my low day going into my next medium day, because I think I should be pretty depleted at that point and should soak up, insulin sensitivity should soak up all the carbs that I'm putting in. So I feel like I should be okay. Let's look at the overall cycle plans. If you take a look here, I've stuck to the plan so far. Now this is subject to change. This is kind of the plan I laid out at the beginning based off of the feedback that I had from my last contest prep. So this is why you should track this stuff, guys. I always track what I'm doing with food, cycle, etc., so I can go back and look and make educated changes. Last year, I think I got too high with my doses too early. My metabolism ran away. Things got out of control. And then I just looked like shit at the end, and I felt like shit, and I was unhealthy. I don't want to do that again this year. So I've been slowly ramping up the doses. You can see that over the first 4 weeks. So I am not at full peak doses yet. At peak doses, I'll be somewhere around 2.3 grams. I talked about that before, where I think saturation point is somewhere between 2 and 3 grams for a guy my size. It's going to be less for somebody smaller and with less experience and less gear usage. But for me, it's somewhere around there. And going into the contest, as we get more depleted, I'm trying to hang on to what size I have. Right now the goal is to lose fat, not lose muscle. You're not really going to be gaining any muscle during contest prep. I know people fantasize about that happening, but it's just unrealistic, especially at my age. My goal right now is just not to lose fat, or not to lose muscle, sorry, and get the fat off. Probably here in the next week or two. I may start next week. I don't know. But at 8 weeks out, the trend goes in. I am going to keep the trend doses low this year. I went up to as high as 500 milligrams last year, and I felt fucking awful. I could only do that for about a week, and I had to back it back down to 300, and even at 300, I felt awful. Trend makes me very anxious, can't sleep. I'm sweating all the time. It's just, and if you're sick, if you don't feel good, you can't sleep, you're not healthy, you're not going to make good progress. So I'm using the trend for the glucocorticoid suppression. I think people don't understand how to use trend properly. That is the value of trend on contest prep, is the glucocorticoid suppression. So you're keeping yourself in, it basically puts you in it is an anti-catabolic drug. It also helps with body composition. I also think it has some thermic effects as well. So it is the one steroid, maybe testosterone a little bit, but it is the one steroid that I think does contribute to fat burning. But I'm going to keep it low enough to get the desired effects out of it, not so much that it makes me feel like shit. So you got to find that sweet spot where that's at for you. I think dudes just like to run high doses of stuff, just to run high doses of stuff. And then the orals go in the last couple weeks. I'm going to save them for the end. I am considering swapping out the Winstrol for halo testing. I've never used halo testing before, to be honest with you, but I'm giving it some consideration this year. If I do, it's going to be really low doses, probably 10 milligrams. The last 2 weeks going into the show, and that's it. I'm thinking about it. Winstrol does harden me up, but it makes my joints feel like shit. And that's pretty much it on the gear. If you want to get help with your gear usage, by the way, shoot me an email at or advice, and your diet, gear, whatnot. Shoot me an email at bigp3rd@gmail.com or a message on Instagram at Paul K. Barnett, and we can book a consultation and talk through what you're doing. Make sure you're not fucking things up. It blows me away that guys will spend $1,000 on growth hormone, but then, they can't spend $50, $100 on a call to make sure that they're using it right. Anyway, moving on. Current training split, same split. This week is deload week for me. I have 2 program deloads in during my contest prep. Last year, I did no deloads during my contest prep. I just kept pushing harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. And I dug myself into such a fatigue hole at the end. I was toast. I remember my CNS was so fried at the end. I literally could not press one plate per side on the leg press. I could not press 1 plate per side on the leg press. I could not bench 135 pounds at the end of my contest prep last year. My CNS was so fried. I went from benching 365 for, something like 8 reps down to not even be able to push 135. So not good. Don't want to be in that situation again this year. So the deload has been programmed, and essentially what I did is cut my volume in half this week. 8 sets of chest, 12 sets of shoulders, 12 sets of back, 12 sets of quads, 8 sets of hams, 8 sets of bis, 8 sets of tris. Kept the weights the same. So I'm still having some stimulus to the muscle to keep from going backwards, but I feel like I lose nothing. It washes off fatigue. I've lost weight, so that's it. Cardio, still doing 20 minutes of HIIT cardio 4 times a week. I have never been this light on cardio before on contest prep and lost weight. That is a new one for me. Usually I have to pound the fuck out of the cardio. So I feel like my fatigue is very well managed at this point, other than not being able to sleep that well, and I'm doing some things to deal with that. Cutting the coffee back mainly. I think that's my issue because I get tired during the day, and I've got to be productive during the day, so I use coffee to fuel me through the day. That on top of the fat burners and stuff is probably not good. I used to drink energy consults, or energy, why am I saying consults? Energy drinks all the time. Slam those so I could get through consults and with my clients and shit, and that is not good. All right, so that's pretty much it. Show's June 11th. Training is okay. The deload is done. Fat loss is accelerated. It continues to accelerate. I feel like we're in a pretty good spot right now, managing fatigue really well. Posing, I've been making sure I've been doing posing 4 times a week. Guys, I can't emphasize this enough. Start posing at the beginning of your contest prep. Make sure posing is part of your routine. I can't tell you how many dudes I see get on stage that can't pose worth a fuck. That look like, they look great backstage, and then they get on stage and they lose it from posing. You don't do all this hard work and then lose it because you don't know how to pose, or you do know how to pose and you just haven't conditioned yourself for it, and you end up cramping up on stage. I see that too. I see guys on stage that are getting the heebie hiccups. They're shaking and stuff because they're cramping up. They can't pose, because they just haven't practiced and they haven't conditioned for it. Make sure you pose multiple times a week, starting at the beginning of prep. It also is good for burning some calories too. You'll sweat your balls off if you're posing hard. So right now I'm going through 3 rounds of my mandatories and my compulsory poses, and it takes me about 20 minutes to go through them. And working on my form, working on, finding the sweet spot for contracting to look good, making sure I get that done. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Take care.